Yo, what is good, YouTube? It is your boy James. I'm coming at y'all with the fifth episode of the previewing and predicting series. Sorry if these have been a little more inconsistent. I've been busy and I just still am not feeling well. So this is going to be another video that's all over the place. The fact that I just got an ad is kind of crazy, so we're just going to skip the video part. Um, like I said, today we're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. I've got a couple things I want to talk about. Um, so let's just get right into it. Probably another shorter video. But I'll when I feel better, I'll format them better. But the one thing I want to talk about first is, do they need to bring back Colin Sexton now? I am a Colin Sexton fan. Sexlan um, is a backcourt that I liked a lot. Um, but the thing with this roster is, it sounds bad, but at this point, Colin Sexton isn't one of your big three. Your big three going forward is Mobley, Allen, and Garland, and you should just care about their development. And it sucks because at one point, Colin Sexton was kind of their franchise player, and I still think he can be a very good player for them, obviously. But I just think at this point, he's not one of the guys that necessarily needs to be there for the future. Would you like um, would you like him to come back and maybe play off the bench or even just play with Garland again, and continue to develop? Yeah, but he's just not that franchise altering piece anymore. And like I said, it sucks to say, and it's not even necessarily his fault. Obviously, the injury didn't help, but and the contract situation. Um, but at this point, I would say you have the Kevin Love contract, which I don't know how many years are left, but he's on the max. You got Garland, you got Allen paid, and then you have Marketing and Levert's contract. So I don't think you need to bring back Sexton. I don't know realistically how much they can pay him, but I would say in the realm of 15 to 19, I would probably pay him. You just hope he continues to develop. But I would say if somehow someone offers him over 20, which I still think is a possibility, I'd like maybe the Spurs to get in on him. I know they're tanking, but to take a chance on a guy like Darius Garland, I don't think is a bad idea. Um, but I think if he gets a contract over 20 mil, you just shouldn't match it. I don't think he necessarily fits anymore. Um, so yeah, I think with Colin Sexton, if he's willing to take a good contract with you guys, I say you probably pay him just because he's young. You hope he develops, and figures out how to be a little more of a team player. But I don't think it's the biggest need anymore. Um, the next thing I wanted to talk about was the Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen front court. Big fan of it. I think that I really liked the Evan Mobley fit. Some people were worried about it, but I thought if you can add two plus defenders, both in the same front court, that you're going to get dangerous. And I always kind of thought, even though I'm not a big college guy, when I watched Mobley after he got drafted, that he was more of a power forward. He's really quick for his size. Obviously, 7 feet at power forward is interesting, but he's very quick for his size. I don't know what his shooting percentages were off the top of my head, but I know he showed decent form in the ability that he can probably shoot. Um, let's see, 25% from three. But I think that you can see the progression with his 3 pointer. Um, and even then, he's fine in the mid range. But I really like Evan Mobley. If you told me over or under two depoys in his career, I might pick the over. Um, 1.5, 2.5. That's how high I am on defensively, and I just think he's so versatile. As like I said, especially for his size, he's quick. Um, and then Allen, he's a little more of your get down and dirty guy, but he's another just amazing shot blocker, great rebounder. Showed some offensive growth. I Everyone is always going to say, I want to see this person learn how to shoot. I don't think Jared Allen ever will, but if he could even just get like a basic midi game, kind of like, I like how Montrezl Harrell can kind of use his mid range game at times where he can just kind of post up and shoot a mid range because centers aren't going to be as quick. But obviously Jared Allen isn't either. But I'm really in love with the front court. I think it's your go-to for years to come, and it's a monster matchup. I remember when the Clippers played them one game; it was just crazy how we could not get any rim pressure, um, and that's what this team can do: keep you from attacking the paint with Mobley and Allen. And what I also like about it is if one of them needs a breast, like you can always have a great defensive center out there because a lot of teams do that. Where usually, obviously, your best players are going to play together, but you're also going to at some point want one of them on the floor to run with the second unit and stuff. So I like that there can always, not always, but usually be a great defensive center out there. Um, I do want to do a quick roster overview. The backup point guard is going to be Rubio. Good on them for bringing him back. I think he's a good backup center. Got him on a pretty good contract too. Koro, you hope he takes a leap. Oche Abaje, I believe is how you say his name. Um, haven't watched much of him, but I heard he's a good 3-and-D type guy and NBA ready. So picking him at 14 was great for them. Um, then I think Dean Wade will probably play the backup 4, and then Kevin Love. I do think the main thing I see right away is getting another guy to play along Kevin Love, because I do think he's a good backup 5 in this NBA. But I think you're going to need a good defensive wing to play next to him. It is a pretty good defensive unit though on the bench, Oche Okoro. But I would like to see a lengthy wing. I'm trying to think of guys on the market. Um, I don't know any off the top of my head. Um, Obviously not, but even just a guy like Jonathan Isaac, I don't even think the backup 4 for this bench would need to provide much offense. But I would like to see a lengthy defender there at the backup 4. The starting lineup, not much to talk about. I'm going to talk about Garland in a sec, but Karis LeVert, we know what Karis LeVert is. I think he had a little bit of settling in last year, but I think he's a good fit next to Garland. And then Markkanen, the 3 big man lineup, it's interesting, but I actually do like it. I would just like to see him maybe become a little better of a defender, but even then, I think you can probably hide him. And I already talked about the front court, but I do really like the LeVert fit next to Garland because he can defend. He's a little taller. Um, and then the last thing I want to talk about before my prediction is I just want to talk about Darius Garland because he finally took that leap to what they wanted him to be. Because, his first year, he was pretty much the worst player in the league around that. So to see him finally take that leap, especially with how good Mobley and Allen were this year, even guys like Markkanen were good at points in the season. Um, and it's great. He's finally that franchise point guard. I think he'll always be a borderline top 5 because there's just so many good point guards. Like if you're considering Luka, you've got Steph, Dame, Kyrie, Trae Young, Ja Morant, Luka. Those are just guys off the top of my head, and I don't think he's better than any of them yet, even though I do think he might be at some point. He reminds me a lot of Dame. I think that's a good comparison for him. But Darius Garland, franchise point guard, probably going to get a couple more All-Star appearances in his career. But him, Mobley, and Allen, like I said, big young trio. Those should be your focus. Keeping them happy, keeping them paid, and building around them. But I really like this Cavs roster. If I had to predict, I'm around 43, 44, 45 wins. I'm high on this roster, but I think they need a little more time to develop, and we'll have to see how Okoro develops because I think Okoro could be a big piece if he decides to, I don't even want to say decides, but if he develops like they want him to. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will get back to better videos. I'm just been